Hey everybody, it's me, Kai Man, and today I am going to be talking about the Scorpio journey. Now, I haven't done videos in quite some time, and I know it's been a while, but I've been really working on myself. I've been going through some shadow work, some inner work, some self-healing. I've been really just focusing on really transformation and transmuting some of the energies that I've held in the past in order to kind of move to the next level. Today is October 23rd. It marks the beginning of Scorpio season. And having said that, my birthday is next Wednesday, October 30th. And so for the past couple of months, I've really been delving into my own journey. And so I wanted to really kind of talk about this because I think that sometimes Scorpio gets a bad rap. Um, a lot of signs do. A lot of signs do. But Scorpio more so because of the fact that a lot of times we're more direct. We're more aware. We're more aware of our feelings, aware of what's going on, and we don't pull any punches. And so sometimes that gets misconstrued as being mean or cocky or controlling or whatever the all of the different negative aspects that one could actually use. Well, I wanted to really talk about the journey because each soul group actually comes into the world to do a particular thing. And Scorpios, our task throughout our lives is to transform, to be reborn, to birth, and just to transmute different energy. And again, just to transform ourselves and to teach other people how to do it because it's necessary that we all in life do it. So I would say that Scorpios are the masters of that particular experience of the transformational experience. Now I've been doing a lot of studying and coming across different books that kind of state different things about the Scorpio, but basically what I gather or come to the knowledge of is that the Scorpio journey is a journey of shamanism. It is also the journey of the alchemist. They are, of course, ruled by the planets Mars and Pluto, Mars being the planet of action and Pluto being the planet of transformation, birth, death, rebirth, all of that. And so that is what really makes up the Scorpio sign is because of the planets that they're ruled by. Now the exalted ruler, and many may not have known this, is the exalted ruler is the planet of Uranus. Now Uranus, of course, it to me goes hand in hand with being a shaman, hand in hand with being, an alchemist and being able to transmute energy and being able to be innovative and to be more intellectual and going into that state of wisdomhood, if that's a word. But again, the Scorpio dates are from October 23rd through November 21st. Now, the first thing that I'd like to talk about is the 7 different symbols of Scorpio. And a lot of people don't know that there's many different symbols of being a Scorpio, and Scorpios are the only sign that has multiple symbols. Now, of course, most of us know about the Scorpio. Some people know about the phoenix. Some people know about the dove. But the first symbol is the symbol of the spider. Now, many of us know that a spider, it creates a web. Well, the scorpion, that archetype in the Scorpio, it creates a web of life around itself. And in cosmic symbolism, it means to create a web of magic and tapestry around oneself. This is the lowest form of a scorpion evolution. It represents tantrum throwing and a problematic individual, someone who has not given up on the childish ways of life and does not hold responsibility as high regard. Now, most often we would think of a spider being, the youth scorpion, but that happens sometimes in certain levels of an adult life as well. When we haven't mastered those particular qualities, you can see an adult who still, adult scorpion who still throws tantrums and don't really have any type of respect for life, or high regard for life. Not to say that it's unusual, but it does happen. The next symbol, of course, is the one that we all know, the scorpion. Now, excuse me. A scorpion is best known to hide itself in the lower corners of the ground and strike if threatened in any way. It is aggressive and very self-protective. The second form, which is the Scorpio, and the primary symbol of the sign, it represents jealousy and anger in the behavior of the individual. This is an immature trait that leads to poor dealing with the surroundings and the people around them. That is, again, it's a second tier up, but it still can represent an adult as well. The next symbol is the lizard. The lizard is a bit more relaxed in demeanor. This symbol recognizes a little humility and has a tendency to watch and learn instead of reacting. This is a symbol where planning revenge for past hurts take place. Most, you would actually really call this the preteen Scorpio, but again, it can be an adult who's still doing that as well, in that state of plotting and planning revenge, because it is said that Scorpios hold grudges. Well, some Scorpios do still hold grudges. It just depends on what archetype that they're working in at that particular time. Now, the next symbol is the serpent. The serpent, although extremely dangerous, will move away from a situation unless it or its loved ones are being threatened. If it's threatened, watch out. It will strike back, and it will strike back hard and fierce. Most of us know it's common sense not to mess with a snake, but some people do it anyway. But the snake, of course, it's like the lizard, but it's just more venomous. Teenage Scorpios tend to be serpents. The next symbol is the wolf. The fifth animal, of course, it's a very wise symbol. It represents the state where these individuals feel like they can break away from the traditional home settings and create a world of their own, a peaceful surrounding with the love of people close to them. It deals with choosing life's decisions carefully and bearing greater responsibility and task. It just came to me that I can remember being in this state. Now, the wolf state is where you decide to live more harmoniously with what you believe that you are and who you are. And somewhere around the age of 28, I came to this very conclusion, and I left everything that I knew to go to a place where I did not know, and I had no idea as far as what would really transpire. But it was one of the best things. It was the hardest thing, but it was one of the best things that I could have done for myself. And I recognized that this particular state, that's where I was, in that wolf state. I chose to deal with life on, basically my decisions were very careful, and they bore greater responsibility and tasks, but it was the best decision for me at that particular time. The next symbol is the eagle or the dove. Now, from ancient times, the eagle is considered to be a symbol of courage and power. It is also associated with powerful vision and soaring to great heights. This is the sixth form of a Scorpio. And excuse me, let me grab some water. This is my eternal water. Okay, Sorry about that. But from ancient times, the eagle is considered to be a symbol of courage and power. It is also associated with powerful visions and soaring to great heights. The sixth form of a Scorpio and a mature symbol. It represents the state where the individual highly relies on intuition and a godly wisdom to solve problems. Now, Scorpio, the water signs in and of itself are very spiritual signs because those signs are based upon intuition. They deal with the emotion. And if too much emotion, you're out of balance. Too much emotion and not enough intuition, it can be very volatile or very putting to a state of being taken advantage of. But when a true Scorpio is in that eagle or dove state, it is godlike. It is simply godlike, the type of wisdom that they have and that they're able to display to solve different problems and to help not only themselves move into a higher phase or dimension of life, and being able to help other people do the same thing. This is where we don't look back and try and say, well, they did this to me. We look at it in a whole different way. There's a lot of healing that have taken place at that particular space. Now, the last and the seventh symbol, of course, is the phoenix. Now, the phoenix is the ultimate goal as a Scorpio. This is where the Scorpio is trying to get to before we die, before it's all over, before it's all said and done. This is where we want to be. We want to be in the state of the phoenix. Now, the phoenix, of course, is a mythical creature, but the phoenix is where that state where you've destroyed everything from the old or from the past and has arisen above your own ashes. This is a Pluto trait. And this is what Pluto does. So I know coming up we have where Mercury is going to be retrograde in the sign of Scorpio. This is going to allow you to let go of some of those old things that you've been hanging on to. This is going to help you to be able to transform into the next state of life that you're going to need to go into. And a lot of people are very afraid of this particular state only because it's going to help you dig down deep and tear up some of those things that have been stagnant in your life and help you to move forward. Now, I'll go into that. We're going to talk about that in a couple videos after this one. I'll really go into the Mercury retrograde and talk about that. But this is not a state to be afraid of. It's a state where you're going to clear up some things, and once you get over it, you are going to be in a better state. You want, for this Mercury retrograde to happen so that you're able to go back over some things, heal some things, and so you can go to the next level clear, free, and light. No more drudgery. Now, anyway, again, that's a Pluto trait. Life is hard. Scorpio knows how hard life can be, but when Scorpio reaches the symbol of the phoenix, they have achieved the most mature, stable, and comfortable life, knowing they can survive anything. The Scorpio at this point doesn't bog itself down with petty arguments and plots of revenge. The Phoenix has risen above all that nonsense, adopting a live and let live attitude. And once again, trusting God to handle affairs of revenge and violence. Now, I know this to be true because in 2005, I was at an event with my partner, and I was helping her to put some things in her vehicle. And a person who had some feelings for her had been at the same event that day. And I'm not one to be, that whole jealousy thing that happens long, in the Scorpio life. But anyway, not really jealous about anything that's happening. I mean, the two of us were together. But this person ended up later, as I was putting some things in her car, ran me over. And they literally had to put my foot back together. And I've had, some friends that came up to me, and one in particular who was really upset and hurt about what happened and said to me, just say the word and I'll take care of her. I laugh about it now, but my friend was very serious, and I had stated to her, I said, no, I said, this happened for a reason, regardless of if she's the one who actually did it. This happened for a reason, so I'm going to use this for whatever time that I need to to look at it. And I thought to myself, I said, whatever, if she did this thing on purpose, if it was some malice, maybe she didn't mean to do it like she did it, but if it was some malice, or something negative, some type of ill will that was happening with that, the universe, karma, all of that would handle her way more than what I could, so there was no need for, me to have my friend do something to her, and her being put in jail. God knows it wasn't worth it, it just really wasn't worth it. It was a time for me. I had the most transformation in that particular year of that happening that I have ever had in my entire life. It was a very difficult time in my life, but it was the best time in my life. It really was. I gained so much knowledge. I was able to just go rake back through some things that have happened in my life and really grow and evolve from that particular time. So, looking back on that, I hate to have gone through all the pain and, the suffering that it did, but it was worth it. I'm not going to even lie. It was worth it. It was worth the transformation that happened in my life during that time. So, yes, the Phoenix rises above all the nonsense, adapting a live and let live attitude, and once again trust God to handle affairs of revenge and violence. The Phoenix is the most peaceful of the Scorpion symbols. The older Scorpio has usually achieved this based on all of life's lessons. Now, the next thing that I really want to talk about is the Scorpio journey. We'll talk about there are two different Scorpio archetypes. And each sign has a high vibrational enlightened state and a low vibration neurotic type state. And the high vibration enlightened state for Scorpios is the Shaman. The Shaman and the Alchemist. The low vibrational neurotic state of the Scorpio is the repressor and the destroyer. A Scorpio in that particular state is very dangerous, highly dangerous. And this could be the state where, some people have met people in that particular state of their lives and hated Scorpios for eternity because of that. That is a very low vibrational state. But the thing about the Scorpio is, even in that particular state, they still have an elaborate sense of power. And emotion within that. It's just being used in a low vibrational way. If they turn that around and use that in a high vibrational state and become more enlightened, they reach the state of shamanism and the alchemist. Now, the gifts that the Scorpio possess is that they're very passionate, they're brave, they have such a depth to them that a lot of people cannot even scratch the surface of. Their gifts of mysticism, transformation, intensity, and magnetism. They have such power and they are masters. The Scorpio struggles with repression, explosiveness, vengefulness, obsession, possessiveness, self-destruction, and controlling. And a lot of times those things happen even when you get to a certain state of even going from that lizard state into that next state where you're going into the dove, or before you get into the eagle. So sometimes you still have those particular things that you're trying to get away from and to heal those areas so that you're not behaving in those particular ways. The Scorpio personality, however, they are charismatic. Sometimes they're difficult to get to know. And sometimes we actually prefer it that way, only because of things that we've dealt with in our past. And we know sometimes letting people know too much, sometimes too soon, they tend to use it against you. But then there's also a state where we get to that state where we're into that, either that dove-like or the ego state where we understand that there is a need to share more of ourselves because it helps other people, not only ourselves to heal, but it also helps other people heal as well. The Scorpio personality, they are a highly intuitive personality. They understand other people very well, and they're instinctively picking up on any feelings that other people try to hide. This sign goes where other signs fear to tread, breaking all of the taboos. What taboos? That's what Scorpios say. What taboos? There aren't any. The Scorpio also is traditionally the most sexual and the most intense sign of the zodiac. The Sun in Scorpio contains extraordinary power and depth. And we talked a little bit about that before. But you'd have to have so much power because of the things that you endure or go through in life. The Scorpio, with all that different transformation and going down into the depths of who they are, you'd have to have power, because if you didn't, you end up killing yourself. You'd end up being in a psychological hold that it would not allow you to get from unless you had the power. And Scorpios hold that much of power. They are so in control. They can be so in control of their minds and able to move into higher states that other signs cannot move into, or can, but have a really difficult time in order to do so. A Scorpio's journey is not one for the faint of heart. It requires full commitment to embracing our chaos and confusion, to exploring our deepest psyche and the full spectrum of the human experience. A lot of people have a hard time with Scorpios. They either say that we're dark, or we're always so serious, where we're the sign that holds the most transformative life. And sometimes that is serious. That is a serious thing. Not to say that, we're not fun and all these other things as well. But depending upon where you meet, or where you're at, where the Scorpio is at when you're dealing with them or when you meet them, they are handling or going through a lot at that particular time. And they have to go through that in order to heal some things within their lives, but to also help humanity heal and transform and transmute that particular energy, so that we all as a society move to another level in life. So it is so necessary. Hug a Scorpio when you see them. Hug them. Give them lots of hugs, love. Just love on them, because they have a big responsibility in this world. They do. Now, if a Scorpio masters the art of transmutation, if she can welcome her explosions of emotions, which rise like lava, she'll discover her underlying wisdom. A lot of times a Scorpio can go from 0 to 100 like there is no middle. The sign before, which is the Libra, they live in the middle. Scorpios cannot live in the middle. They are on either here or there. And for them to be able to transmute and transform, they are trained to bring both of those things to the middle so that they can live. But that is the hardest thing for a Scorpio to do. But in order for them to create that particular balance, that is something that they have to learn, from the Libra. Now, once they learn how to not control their emotions, but learn how to use their emotion, that's where the wisdom comes. That's where that wise Scorpio comes from. Now, the Scorpion, they embody both healing and destruction, death and rebirth. All of those things they embody. They have to. In order to go through the death, in order to the death of the old self and be reborn into the new self, to transform into that, they have to be willing to heal themselves. And a lot of people don't want to delve deep into those things. So they don't like Scorpios, because Scorpios, not only are we doing that for ourselves, we're going to ask you a ton of questions to help you do the very same thing, because we can see that it's necessary in order for you to move to whatever level and to go wherever it is that you're trying to go as a person. You can't always be in a state of, oh, I'm happy all the time. That's a lack of balance. That's out of balance. If you happy all the time, that is you're not balanced, because life does this. In order for you to be able to have, you have to go through. We talk about in the Bible, it says that there's a time to die, there's a time to live, there's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh, there's a time for everything. All those things create balance within a person's life. And if you're over here doing one thing way more than you're doing another thing, you're not in balance. So anyway, we'll talk about that in another video. But the Scorpion, she must surrender to the full intensity of her emotions, throwing them to the fire and then rising from the ashes wiser and more purified. The key for the Scorpio's journey is to understand that the tremendous power that they have the ability more than any other sign to face intense psychic undercurrents without drowning. We have that very nature to be able to deal with some intense stuff without falling victim to it. If the Scorpion can rouse enough courage and face whatever arises, she will discover her own secret gift, which is deep wisdom, healing, and profundity. Now, an enlightened Scorpion helps those with severe afflictions. We have the ability to help those who have some severe afflictions to heal and handle them, heal from them, and to actually transform from them. Scorpio can show us the path of fearlessness. If she surrenders, she can also teach us, just as she's learned to stay open and relinquish our control. Scorpio lives in deep waters, and if you find yourself there, they will stay by your side, helping you to swim. Passionate and sexual, mystical, and mysterious, Scorpions can guide us to the place that we've always been curious about but never had the courage to visit. If you have a family member that's a Scorpio, or a friend that's a Scorpio, and there's something that you've always wanted to do, they are fearless. They are fearless. Even if they have some type of fear about it, they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it anyway. Most people will just like, no, I'm not going to do it. Or they get to wherever it is, like, say a person wants to go skydiving, they jump out of a plane or whatever, they may get to the door and stop. A Scorpion is going to go all the way. All the way. If I said I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all the way with it. They push our boundaries in society. They help us expand our points of view to include previously unfathomed feelings and experiences. By opening to the depths, Scorpio shows us that we can transform sadness into richness by revealing that it was richness all along. It was richness. Even in the sadness, you can always see beauty. You have to learn to see beauty in the sadness, or in the trauma, or in the turmoil. You have to be able to see the beauty of it, because that energy is trying to take you into another level. And once you get to that particular level, you can actually look back and understand why you had to go through whatever it was that you had to go through. And the beauty of it is being able to, while you're in it, being able to see the beauty of it. That is some amazing transformative thinking. And that's what a Scorpio does when they get to that phoenix state, even that dove and that eagle state. She enjoys and embraces the darker emotions and hidden dimensions of reality, because we know that that's going to take us or lead us to a whole other door that we didn't even imagine that was there. These people are fearless. I cannot say that enough. Scorpios are fearless. She reflects back to us our shadows, so we can face them and integrate them, becoming more self-aware. That is the job of a Scorpio, is to show society their shadows, show them what's really going on in society, and to be able, so that not only as individuals we're able to become aware of who we are individually, but also as a society. Also, to help with that level of consciousness as well. The enlightened Scorpio demonstrates that if we don't resist heartbreak, Our hearts will grow bigger as we feel more connected with others. If we're willing to go to the depths with with an awakened Scorpio, anything is possible. She will lead us to our enlightenment, healing us by teaching us to transmute our suffering. She shows us that there is no such thing as pain and pleasure, good and bad, as long as we say yes to all that arises. You must say yes to everything. Now, the Scorpio mind and emotions and strength. Let's talk a little bit about that. The Scorpion has an astute mind that goes straight to the core of a problem, combining logic with intuition. The Scorpion is an excellent strategist. Scorpio can be ruthless, self-critical, especially when trying to understand motivation, their own motivation and your motivation as well. The questions always arise, what is my motivation? Am I trying, is there some hidden thing that I'm trying to do, or am I really doing this out of love? And that can be, self-critical sometimes. This personality is the type that experiences incredible, powerful emotions, many which, are around love and jealousy. Scorpios are tenacious and have an enormous resiliency and staying power. You have to be resilient and you have to have staying power if you're able to delve deep, being that water sign, always being underneath where the currents are. Most people like to be above, and stay on the shallow end. That's not where Scorpios live. They live in the deep end. So in order to be able to live in the deep end, you have to be resilient with all the things that life throws at you. You have to be resilient. You have to have staying power in order to realize that I'm going to stay in this deep end until I get whatever it is that I came for. Whatever it was that I'm coming for, I got to be able to stay in this particular situation until I get what I came for. That's being relentless. And that's what Scorpios are. And they have that resiliency. This sign can penetrate into the depths of another person. That whole intuition, being able to see you coming a mile away, or see, allowing you a space where, I can see where it is that you're coming from. I can see what it is that you're doing, and maybe not even letting you know that I know, but I know. Anyway, let's talk about the Scorpio, the shadow and the karma. That shadow work is something that I have really been dealing with for a while now, and really trying to transmute that energy and trying to understand that the shadow that's within me, that it's necessary. It's necessary. I believe in I don't know, many people, I've been really thinking about that whole tree of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, why we weren't supposed to eat from it, because there is no such thing as good, there is no such thing as bad, there is no such thing. If we were just in a state where we didn't know, or we didn't have any idea of all these different things, we would be not judging people for not doing or not believing, that something's bad or that something's good. We would not be in that state. But anyway, I've really been, trying to focus on that whole shadow thing, and understanding the necessity of it, and being able to use it when it's needed to be used, because those things that we deal with that are in the shadow, these are parts of us where we've been hurt, where we've been put through, the ringer. It's places where we've been jealous, or where we've been having so much pain, or whatever we've suffered throughout our lives. That shadow side is that thing that we have grown, that's sitting within us deep. And so, although the Scorpio shadow is a venomous state, it is also full of spite. It comprises all the grudges that this sign has ever held, and combines them with a state of being obstinate. It shares with its opposite sign, which is Taurus. This sign strongly draws towards self-destruction. It really does. That shadow side of it is not about, yes, we could do some things to you, but for the most part of it, it is a self-destructive state. there's been some things that I myself have been, looking at even now, recently, have saying, okay, not self-destructive, but am I sabotaging myself in some way, shape, or form? Subconsciously. Am I unconsciously really trying to do something? I'm doing something to myself that's going to hurt me later on. And really having to look at that and pulling that apart and saying, what is that? Why am I not stepping over here? And why am I wanting to stay right here? What is that? And so being able to really look at that shadow, you have to. A lot of people don't want to look into their shadows. They don't want to look into themselves because they want to think, oh, I'm such a good person. Oh, I'm this and I'm that. And, all that sugar and spice shit. No, you some stuff that ain't nice either. You know what I'm saying? And you really got to look at that and say, oh my gosh, okay, so that is me, and being okay with that being you, because it's helped you in some way, shapes, or form, but you've also got to use that particular energy and learn how to use it, appropriately. So anyway, this sign again, it strongly draws towards self-destruction. As far as karma goes, the karmic challenge for Scorpio is to uncover the treasures hidden in the traumatic events. So all those things that have traumatized you, all those things that have really kept you from moving forward in life, that is your karma. That's the karmic challenge for you. And once you uncover all of that, once you heal from all of that, there is a treasure trove underneath all of that. And I tell you, if you can go through whatever is necessary that you have to go through, no matter what it is, you're going to come out so much better. You're going to have such wisdom. You're going to have such power within yourself. It is going to be such an amazing space for you, but you have to be willing to delve deep within those spaces, because it's a treasure. I'm telling you, it's amazing. The fact of Scorpio's survival is part of that treasure. As is the strength of the personality that has developed as a result of all that karmic challenge as well. So let's talk about, this is another thing that I really have been wanting, and I'm going to really do some videos with regards to these as well. I'm going to give you guys some general things, but I'm going to do some more in-depth videos on this. So we're going to talk about the Scorpio traditional correspondences. And those correspondences like crystals, foods, herbs, and things of that nature. So the crystals that correspond to Scorpios are malachite, Apache tear, aquamarine, beryl, bogie stone, chariot, kunzite, moonstone, and obsidian. I am wearing obsidian stone right now. This is an indigo obsidian. This stone is a shamanic stone. It helps with vision and things of that nature. So if you're into crystals, or if you don't really know a whole lot about crystals at this particular state, I'll get into that in another video. But right now, if you're already into crystals and you were wondering as a Scorpio, what stones or what crystals should I have in my possession? Again, it's a malachite, Apache tear, aquamarine, beryl, bogie stone, chariot, kunzite, moonstone, and obsidian. Those are just a few. Now, when I get into the crystal video, a couple weeks from now, we'll talk about crystals for Scorpios, and we'll talk about what they actually mean for the Scorpio. So those are those. Food, beans, onions, leeks. A lot of times, Scorpios like spicy, pungent, and strong tasting foods. Another thing that came across was meat. Now, I'm not into meat. Now, don't get me wrong. I am pescatarian. I do eat fish. I don't really buy it for my house. But if I'm out to a restaurant and it's an expensive restaurant, I'm going to eat some fish and some seafood. I'm not going to go to a restaurant and just eat salad unless I'm at a vegan restaurant. Now, but again, I don't really eat meat. I don't eat chicken, fish, pork, beef. I don't do any of that. But another thing too that corresponds to the scorpion Life is some herbs. Now let's talk about the different blackberry leaves, milk thistle, horseradish, wormwood, sarsaparilla, black and blue cohosh, ginseng, and aloe vera. And again, I'm going to do separate videos talking about herbs, foods, and crystals for the Scorpios, okay? So we'll talk about that later. These are just, some general things for you guys just to know. Now, this actually ends this whole Scorpio journey and overview of the journey. If you are a Scorpion, if you could attest to anything that I have said in this particular video, let me know, down in the comments. Let me know if some things rang true for you, some things that didn't. We could talk about that as well. But the journey of a Scorpio is to journey into the shamanic lifestyle and to become the best alchemist that they can become. Now, I love you, Scorpios. I know, your lives have been very hard. Some things have been really about survival. A lot of it has been about transformation and really transforming a particular area in your life based upon whatever your natal chart is, wherever that Pluto is. You know that your life is about transforming that particular area of your life. If you need help with anything, if you have any questions about anything that I may be able to answer for you, please do not hesitate to comment it below on this video. Please like, share the video, and make sure you hit the bell, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you guys are aware of new, videos that are published whenever they're published. Again, I love you, Scorpios. I know a lot of people, are there are other signs that are really rooting for us because they understand the life of a Scorpio. But as far as, us, and we got to stick together because we've come to this life to be able to help others transform ourselves first and then others. But that is why we are here. Now, how you may be doing that and why, and the task of doing that, each one of us are assigned a different area of doing that. So look at your natal chart. And if you don't know how to read your natal chart, I'll be getting into that as far as different videos as well. But if you have some questions about it, again, you can inbox me on Instagram. You can also, DM me. You can also, reach out to me on Facebook. I'm Kai Man on Facebook. I'm Kaiology on Instagram. You can also, and I'll put my email address on the video as well. Again, you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure you share this video with your social media platforms, with your families, with your friends. Anybody that you know is a Scorpio, share it with them. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Peace.